Mr. Stanton, you're recognized.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. My questions start with Chairman Yucupicio. Thank you again for sharing your tribe's experience as the first recipient in our state and the first tribal recipient of funds through Arizona's Environmental Infrastructure Authority. Chairman, how long has the tribe been working on this important water distribution line?
You know, it's been about 20, 30 years, but if you realistically look at, once we came to the reservation, these lands here, the first struggle was how do we provide water? We then provided these big old tanks that looked like oil wells and fields like that. Little did we know that they were not capped on top, and there was actually flying birds and stuff that were dead in there, and that was the drinking water provided at that time. Here, there was nothing around here in the desert. We then tapped into what the city water line was, and even then you start thinking about how much and how are we going to grow someday if this is our reservation. And it's being provided by the city, but it's not enough. And when I start looking at, once this funding came, and we thank you for it and thank you everybody that was responsible for it, I truly look forward to, minimizing some of the drinking potable water from the city of Tucson and using our allotment to make sure that we can provide, good, healthy ball fields for our elders, our youth, and everybody else, and our health divisions. Diabetes and everything else, and now COVID being like that, it's a hard thing to deal with right now when you start thinking of, the water and getting water to them and their homes and everything else. So for us, it's a must, and we thank you very, very much for being the first tribe and making sure that we can alternate and use other resources. Thank you.
20, 30 years, and now we're able to actually start construction on it is so important for the people of your community and for the entire state of Arizona. Your testimony highlights two key issues that could pose barriers for other tribes to participate in the Environmental Infrastructure Authority: cost share and the requirement that recipients pay for project costs up front before getting reimbursed by the Corps. My office has heard similar concerns from smaller and more rural communities. Can you talk a little bit more about the importance of adding that flexibility to the environmental infrastructure program to ensure that small, rural, and tribal communities with limited resources are not precluded from participating in this authority?
Yes, and the funding is the issue, not tribes. Tribes don't have the funding to be able to cover the 25%, even more. There's hidden costs and everything else once you start doing the project. And I think the more and more when we look at a bigger part of the alternative funding sources, federal and everything else that can be used, that's what tribes really need. They would have to take away, like us, things to educate, things for some of our housing needs and all that stuff, to use some of that funding and find federal funding. I think that's where the key is, getting us more funding to get these projects underway so we can conserve the water that's really, really sacred and needed here in the Southwest for all tribes.
That's great. And I'm an urban Congress member, but I know that the success of our tribal communities are important for the entire state of Arizona. So that partnership is incredibly important. I have a question for Ms. Hill Gabriel. Given the impacts of drought and wildfire to Western water supplies, including Army Corps facilities, what are the opportunities or barriers to the Corps utilizing natural infrastructure and nature-based solutions to address these water challenges?
Thank you for the question, Congressman Stanton. I think it's excellent, first off, how much discussion is taking place and understanding what the Corps can do more in addressing water scarcity issues in the West. I think we're already seeing progress on what have previously been barriers, which is really just interagency coordination, either at the federal level, but also incorporating state and local entities. But as progress on that front becomes more clear, it's going to be important to support efforts to ensure that the Corps has the necessary authorities to fully analyze the opportunities they have, like restoring wetlands upstream of water storage facilities and things of that nature, and other natural infrastructure options. And we'd love to see, the advancement of pilot projects that can demonstrate some of these benefits of natural infrastructure in the West. Lieutenant General Spellman had testified back in January that, there's additional research needs in this field. So I think it's something that's going to be really helpful for us all to dig into together.
Thank you so much. My time is up. I yield back.